and that's what I was guided to do. It hasn't worked, so hopefully this will work out. I don't have much time, but I will quickly reiterate the main message. It ties into a message that came out in my last YouTube live video where Spirit brought up the Dance of the Dragons. That's what they call the Great War that happens in the House of Dragons on HBO. The Spirit was like, what if it's not a war that's coming, this big thing that's coming? What if it's something good? So be very careful what things you allow to be true in your reality. Stop manifesting doomsday. You can do this by when things are coming into your reality that are saying, oh, people are going to starve, climate change is going to end the world. When you're seeing these things, stop feeding them. Doesn't mean run away from them, doesn't mean ignore them, doesn't mean that there's not some truth to them, but ultimately, they don't have to be true because what makes reality is consciousness, and you have that in spades. So be very careful about that. The Little Prince was a reference in there, and I thought it was strange because I know for a fact that The Little Prince is a Netflix original film, and yet when I checked on Netflix, it was not on there. So I don't know if it's just something with the region that I'm logged into or what, but it wasn't on there. Thought that was interesting. Next thing that I want to talk about, one of the messages was Starseeds. Allison is a name. That's something important. Starseeds. So starseeds are basically beings that are not originally from Earth, or souls that are not originally from Earth. And just to kind of, I guess, prep this to the mind, don't ever to get like too caught up in all these names and these places and things, because ultimately we're all just source, and this is all just projections of a grander consciousness, which is also by that same character trait, extremely small and minuscule. It's both things at once. But basically, star seeds. One way that you can know that you're star seed is if you feel like you're not from here, like nowhere on earth from here, or you feel like you just don't fit in, you just don't really get or understand the way that people go about things, which, this is not to encourage these states of separatism at all by any means, but our differences are important, and they are something that should be celebrated and used to unite us. But I realized something came to my attention recently, that we have to teach children the sequencing of time. This is something, hello, this is something that I have picked up before, but it never clicked in my mind. But I say all the time how I say all the time how like time isn't real. It's a 3D construct. It's a low vibrational construct, and it sounds crazy thinking about that because you're like, of course time is real. I've aged, and look what happens when you do this. But another way that you can think about how time isn't, if it's real at all, it certainly isn't linear, as in it certainly does not go in a straight line. One way that you can think about this is with the fact that we have to teach children time. We have to teach them sequencing of events and orders of events. Why would you need to do that? I don't know. I just feel like that's like a sign, like, because children, they don't perceive time in the same way. We have to teach it to them how to perceive time in a linear way. So that's something to be aware of, because sometimes, or not sometimes, all the time we're taught these things and we just assume that it's law, that it's a universal law, but it's not. It's just something that you've been taught. Does that make sense? Same with the concept of death. Same with many things. So this is kind of how, I guess, to segue into star seeds, I've been feeling called to talk about them. And I was like, Spirit, why did I need to talk about star seeds? I haven't had any new like visions about star seeds. And Spirit was like, it's okay. You can talk about the ones you've already seen, because too much is never enough. Because when I'm sharing these things, it's sending out these codes, vibrations into the collective, and that's always a good thing, because you never know who it'll ignite and trigger like remembrance within. I have a lot of connection with Mintaka. Mintaka is basically like a watery planet. Lots of water there. I don't know everything about it, obviously, and I don't think I need to, but I have had a few the little things of seeing this place. I remember I did have like these big like fish eyes, and that's why even now as as a human being, you can like my eyes, you see like they're like more like this, but they were like even bigger. I always describe them as like that character from Guardians of the Galaxy, the one with the antenna, and like she has like the bigger eyes. I know for a fact I had like a mom there, a mom and like siblings, and I do have like a brief memory of it being destroyed. I do know also that the water was very light. It was not nowhere near as dense as the water here on Earth. You could not drown in it. For one, it wouldn't drown you ever. And one of the main reasons being is because the water is conscious. The water here is conscious as well, but it's been very hurt. And it's very dense, it's very heavy, has a lot of trauma in the water here. But that wasn't there. I'm in Taka, so like there, it was impossible to drown because why would the water drown you? You know what I mean? It was sentient. It'd be the same thing as like your parents are in the pool with you. They wouldn't let you sink, so it wouldn't happen there. Also, everyone could breathe in the water. I also remember that although a lot of like life was like in the water, there were like on land like areas, and from what I picked up, there was like a city sort of vibe, and I think that is kind of like where I don't know, the ending was like trickling in, because I have like a memory of like being sent away like to save myself, kind of like in like the superhero like origin story of like a Superman, where he like is leaving the planet and like he has to leave like people behind. I don't know where I was going, but it felt like the end of the world to me. But basically I had to like leave my mother that was there, and I could like feel her soul. She was so sweet, and she was so confident in me that I would like be a good person, and like very like, I don't know, just like this energy of like, you got this, I'm not worried at all, I'm not afraid. Yes. And I noticed this because I don't like, this is gonna sound very strange and I might regret sharing this, but I don't like the idea of like having to pee. It's been something that's been irritating me for years, and from as early as I can remember, I've had issues with my digestive system, and I think it's because I come from this place where you don't have to like pee. I think especially, I think for one thing, peeing might be a, a low vibrational sort of thing that beings would have to do, like to secrete something from the body. So I think that's one of the reasons why. And I think for a reason too is probably because I was a fish in the water, a sentient fish in the water. And so you just peed, so you didn't have to like, if we did pee, but if you did, you didn't have to like train your mind to like wait, or like, because we trained ourselves. This is another thing that goes into what I was saying earlier. Like, you think these things are natural and like universal laws, but they're not. We've actually been trained in these ways. I mean, it'd be pretty gross if we weren't trained to pee in a toilet. But when you think about it, you have to hold and restrict that area, that sacral, and I guess, is it root chakra? I think it's just mostly sacral chakra. You have to like constrain it. And I think that's caused a lot of, that's why I have like more issues, in my opinion, from my belief. It might be multiple things, but I think that's one of the reasons, having to constrict myself in this way when I don't come from a place that does this. Yes. So what else about Starseeds? A few interactions with them. They're always very, in my, this is all my opinion and all based on my experience. Um, they're always very regal. They're very like family oriented, like very like within the family. So like think about like lion prides, like they're all about like their group. Um, and it did lots of sun, lots of sun, lots of like yellow themes, and I feel like they wear robes a lot. This is just all from the. I haven't had a lot of like conscious remembrances of the Lyrans, but I do know that I have come in contact with them. I think they might also be the beings where like I was given like a maybe it wasn't them. But there was this other time where I was with these beings and it was like me here and one here and one in front of me, and they were all so like very high vibrational that they didn't even have like faces. They were just light. But I think for like the sake of me or whatever we were doing, like a ceremony, they were in these robes, and the one in front of me gave me this ball of light, and I was like, what do I do with this? I don't know what to do with this light. And they were like, yes you do. And then I put it into my chest. So Lyrans have like a lot of like sun, a lot of light, and literally like the sun, as in the SON, very family oriented. People have like tried to like, I don't know, give me hints or solutions and things or guesses about like where I'm from in terms of like my starseed origins, but I don't feel like I have like one true home, and it's because none of us are really from even these starseed places, because we all come from source, which, you know, I do up, but it's really in and it's really everywhere. um oh, let me try to keep on track. But basically, there's this guy named Darius Wright, Darius, I think. Wright, Wright. Highly encourage you to look him up. He's on a lot of interviews on YouTube, but he also has a website, and he has these images to show you what I'm about to talk about. So basically, he says that like Earth is a construct, which it is. And then he was saying like there's all these constructs, like these different little, not little, but these different portals of like different conscious experiences that you could have. But there is a place outside of those constructs where beings exist, and that's where I feel like more of like where I come from, like outside of it. But obviously my ego like hates that idea, because if you are outside of it, it's like you can't have like you have to be very loose in attachment to like your personality and like who you are. Like right now I'm like, I strongly identify as a woman, and I strongly identify as a black woman, and like all these different things. I identify as like an English speaker, I speak English. But outside of that, you have to like let go of all these like personality traits, and that's where your soul like is the most free and the most authentic version of itself, because it's simultaneously leaving these traits behind, as well as uniting all of them. And we do have the capacity to be simultaneously aware of everything that we are and all the experiences that we've had, at the same time as like not holding on and not being in like not being attached to any of them. Like we're that cool that we can do both of those things. Both things can be true at the same time, which, you know, you can think of in like terms of the atom, I'm pretty sure, where like there's something that the atom does that is impossible and yet true. Also like how the bees can fly. What else about this? The star seeds. Anything else about the star seeds? I feel like starseeds, this could just be everybody, but I feel like starseeds right now are going to be feeling pretty irritable, because I feel like there is like this triggering or awakening, and you're realizing that you don't like a lot of things about how things are on the planet. And so like there's this irritability in the air. Excuse me, I could be wrong, but I also could be onto something. Let's get a card. What do we need to know about starseeds? Like, what's the message, or what's an additional message? I'm seeing a tower card here. Okay. Queen of Wands, Nine of Wands, Queen of Swords, and I'm seeing a Two of Swords again. Yeah, like this, like it might be this feeling of like irritation with like having to make these decisions. I know what happens for me a lot is like life. I get annoyed with life, like these things that have to do like time management, like having to eat, making sure you eat certain things, making sure you like you get yourself food because people don't always have access to food and aren't able to get it, making sure you're like drinking enough water, making sure you're drinking clean water, making sure you're brushing your teeth, but also flossing, but also like taking vitamins and walking and being active for a certain amount of time, make sure you're talking to people, making sure you're dressed, making sure you're bathing yourself. It's like all these things is so much to just be alive and be like, what is the standard of a healthy human being here. And I'll just be like, Spirit, I don't like having to do all this, because where we all come from, our bodies are self-sustaining. They're constantly regenerating from within, like an internalized, like rejuvenating, infinite battery of life. Like you see this all the time in like movies and stuff. Like I think Tony Stark might have like tapped into this with this his thing in the middle, where it's like a battery that lasts for a long time. They're always trying to make these batteries that last for forever, or these batteries that can constantly be rejuvenating and recharging themselves on their own. All these ideas and theories about how we can make these technologies to be to this standard, these are because we remember that that's how we are. We are already like this. We are already, I'm saying this tarot card, we are naturally self-rejuvenating. That's why the soul cannot die, because it just keeps rejuvenating. And so it's like, we're not supposed to like have all these things. Like, I don't know, I get so annoyed with like having to pee. Like you don't have, you shouldn't have to eat anything. You shouldn't have to like bathe and stuff. Your organs shouldn't be dying. You shouldn't have to upkeep them, because they are already source light. They are already constantly rejuvenating themselves. You shouldn't have to upkeep. Our whole lives are dedicating to the survival and trying to make our bodies survive. So if you think about like how easily that could be manipulated, which as we see, which then like allows for a lot of density and a lot of trauma and a lot of fear to happen and perpetuate everywhere, versus like in New Earth, before and after all of this mess, after the matrix is cleared, now that we have these self-sustaining bodies that are also at one with source, but also individual and unique in their own right. Now all of that time, what can you do with, like, what do you do now? You live. You fucking live, and you like enjoy, and you create, and you manifest, and you fall in love with yourself and your surroundings. Like it opens so much more up now that you're done with having to survive and upkeep your body constantly. I was gonna say something else, but yeah, like just this hard work, it's not supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be like this at all. And so I feel like, I'm seeing yellow now, I feel like at this time a lot of starseeds may be becoming very annoyed, and you might not know why you feel annoyed and like why you feel like this, but this is why. And I know for sure, like, the reason that you're gonna keep on being irritated, you're gonna keep on being uncomfortable, because spirit, your soul, your higher self wants you to wake up and to remember you're not supposed to be comfortable here. This is not natural, which is something Ramona Lappin talks about all the time, which also is something else that I want to tap into. I've also noticed that a lot of starseeds, when they do like awaken, and when they do like have this the spiritual like ding 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 light bulb go off, it's like that's when it's really easy to go into like the rabbit hole, like speaking of Alice in Wonderland. It's very easy to go down like these wrong paths. It's like a lot of like traps are set up to like catch the freshly awoken starseeds. Thankfully, I didn't really get deep into anyone, but I did like initially, like when I first was like, something's not right, and you go out and you search for it. I will say I did kind of like get into a person that wasn't necessarily 100% trustworthy, but I know other people for sure have like experienced much worse, and it kind of like will put you off from it. And also there's this thing where like people will overly complicate things with all these words. this is also something that I want to talk about. I don't like all these words. Like, there's all these fucking planet names, even like the Lyrans, the Mintakans, it's Andromedan. It's like all these different starseed names, the Palladians, blah, blah, blah. I don't like that. And I was thinking, I think one of the reasons why is because these names do not translate well into English, because for one, a lot of these places were higher in frequency, much higher in frequency and consciousness level. And so a lot of the communication is telepathic. And so you think about, how do you translate the name of a place into something telepathic? You don't, is these are frequencies. And so I feel like it's another reason why I don't resonate with a lot of the names, that I don't like like all these different like categories and shit. I mean, it can be beneficial, like for talking and conceptualizing things and feeling a familiarity with, you know, having something to name it, to localize how you feel and this familiarity with it. But I don't think that they translate well. A lot of these places, I feel like if anything, they'd be like, Orina, like that'd be the name of a place. Like, it'd be these sounds, these chimes, these bells, which is also why I think I often hear a lot of like bells in my ears. Are like, like, boom. I guess some people would diagnose this as something wrong with my ears, but I know it's not. I often call them like angel bell sounds. But now that I'm thinking about it, if you think about it, if I was living in water full time, when you're underwater, think about how you hear sounds when you're underwater. It'll be in these kind of distorted, like dingy kind of sounds. And that's often what I'll hear whenever, I don't know, something's trying to get my attention. So I think the last thing that I'll talk about is like tooth decay. I've had the second dream now about something being wrong with my tooth, a tooth being chipped, or a tooth being like decayed or rotted or broken or something like that. And it was interesting because I was listening to Ramona's Zoom call or something that she did, and she said that somebody was saying how they were having something wrong with their tooth. I have had two instances where I've had my one of my teeth chipped. It was during when I was in college, both times when I was like under a lot of stress and pressure. But it's also where I had like a huge like jumps in terms of like my spiritual awakening process and becoming aware. And I feel like tooth or what I can't talk. Teeth are like our bones, and I recently have been drawn to like dinosaur bones. I still don't know why, but I do feel like there's some sort of connection there where like something that was buried is being revealed, but it was revealed in a way that was manipulated. And so I feel like there's a connection there with the teeth, like something is revealed in a way, but in a way that is manipulated. And so you will need to go within and feel out the truth of what is for yourself. So maybe that's something that relates to your life. Yes, a lot of like connection to like karma clearing and being released, and it might come out in like a unsavory way. Okay. Oh, look, the light just got bright. I don't know. Okay, I need to go eat. Thank you so much. I hope these messages, as quick as they were, resonated. You can check out my other videos because I've talked about visions that I've had of like New Earth and Starseeds before. You just have to like go scroll. I even have like pick a cards about these things. So if you would like more information, just go on my channel. Okay. Bye. I'll see you next time.